Right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's what I would do. So that's what I would do right here. Like I screwed that up. Again, it doesn't matter greatly, but the cool thing is, and probably I can use another example. And let me just grab some people. Actually, maybe that's what I'll do. We're gonna create a cool image. That's essentially what's gonna happen. But let's try to find. I'm trying to find an image with some, like somebody with some hair, which is a pretty common thing.
Hopefully we're live now, and you guys should be able to see my Premiere Pro panel. Hello? Hey. Okay. Give me one quick second to do that. It should be the same because I have this set up from last time. Right, hang on one second. Now, whenever you do a stream, even if you set up different profiles, does it change it shouldn't change the key. The key should be locked to an individual profile when you create one, correct? I see. Yep, and I'm just editing these settings here. Broadcast settings. And for whatever reason, on mine, it doesn't show it to you in clear text. That's interesting. Yeah. All right, so I've hit save, and all right, and does it show me live now? Yep, looks like we're live. All right. All right. And it looks like we're all set up here. Hey everybody, it's Roberto. I see some of you guys here in the comment section. Welcome, welcome. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to actually be covering video editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. This is something that I do pretty much almost every day. Hey everybody, it's Roberto. So that's what we're going to be working on here. I'm looking forward to showing you guys pretty much my editing workflow from scratch. I actually had to set up a custom workstation here just for working in Twitch so that you guys can see me and we can talk as we work here. So feel free to throw in any questions that you guys have, and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. But I'm going to walk you through, and I'm literally going to edit a video pretty much the way I typically would. I'm going to turn down my volume here a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of like walk you guys through some of my process. So before we jump in, I know a lot of people aren't super familiar with Adobe Premiere Pro. It's the video editing software from Adobe. It's an industry standard. It was used to edit Deadpool, Gone Girl, and a lot of films that you might be familiar with. But it's also something that many popular YouTubers actually use on a regular basis, as opposed to Final Cut Pro. There are a lot of things I like more about Premiere Pro, having used both of them, and so I'll get a little bit into that. But I actually built my entire custom computer rig specifically to deal with video editing. So I'm a timeline-based editor, so a lot of what you're going to see here is based around that. People who do vlogging aren't always necessarily timeline-based editors. I do a lot of different things, so that's why I am. So I don't use this source clips nearly as much as some people, but when I need to know what something is, if I haven't labeled my footage before I brought it in, then I definitely do that. So I'll give you guys a quick example of that. So here I have, and I'm just going to close out these sequences. So here I've double-clicked on a video that I've already shot, and I'm not 100% sure which out of the tons of videos that I shot all at once this one is. So by double-click on it, it goes into the source layer, and I can kind of preview it, and I can see what I have to work with. And so I'm listening to it now to see what video this is. And what I could start doing to make life easy on myself is I could do a pre-recording of some notes for myself when I'm shooting, and I could tell myself what video this is,
helping you create
and
something awesome
then I'll have
today.
some notes for
So
myself
today we're
or
going to talk
whoever's
about
editing for
how
me.
to not burn out on YouTube and how not to quit.
So this particular video is how not to burn out on YouTube and how not to quit. So to make life easy on myself, I'm going to relabel this particular source clip, how not to quit YouTube. And the reason I left the file name behind it is, what if I give these source files to somebody else or I upload them? I need them to be able to match the number to the file. So that's why I left that in place at the end there. You don't have to do that, but that's just why I do, because I'm always thinking about what's going to happen if somebody else has to edit this. And so that's just something that I like to keep in mind personally. So I really think that that's something that you should really just kind of take into consideration, is the fact that there might be somebody other than you who has to edit this footage. Ideally, in the future, I'm going to be having other people edit my footage, so I want to make things as easy on them as possible, both from how I set things up when I'm recording, how I set up the file structure when I'm editing, how I set up the Premiere profile, so everything. So now that I know what this is, what I'm going to do is, and again, this is my bin for my source panel that I have over here, and you guys won't be able to see all of it just because of the way that I have to have this laid out when working in Twitch. But essentially I can, and I'll just kind of move this up to the top where you can probably see it a little better. So I can right click on this piece of footage, and I'm going to go to New Sequence from Clip. What that does is it moves this clip down into the timeline, and you can see it over here in my program window. So this is my preview window basically, and I can see what everything is with this footage. So typically for me, the next thing that I do is I create a new adjustment layer for my color grading. and I just go down to the new panel and I do that, and then you can see I dragged up this adjustments layer here. I'm going to drag that over to my timeline, and I'm going to make it the length of this video clip, even though I'm going to edit that later. I'm going to trim it down, so I'll just match all of those things later. So what that adjustment layer on video track 2 is going to do is it's going to let me change the colors here a bit. The colors in this are already pretty good, but I can make them just slightly better. I can tweak them. So there's a couple of things I can do with that. I can either use an existing preset in the effects panel. I can use Lumetri Color. I can use a preset that I've already personally made for this. So those are some options. I'm just going to click Save real quick. The other thing I typically do is I also adjust the audio on this, and I know exactly what I want to do. The audio on this is actually pretty good. You want where you have the audio, you'll see over in the right hand corner that when I speak that it goes, those audio bars come up. Let me just highlight this for you real quick, and I'll play it so you can see it.
I think you need to have a healthy approach and a healthy
So
perspective.
You can see that goes to about 6, and that's where we want it.
Sometimes it means stopping and taking stock of what's really important in your life.
Important to actually keep the audio levels intact.
As for how not to get burned.
Now, there's just a little bit of background noise going on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to right-click this. I'm going to edit in Audition. This is one of the cool things about having Creative Cloud. There are a lot of people who really don't appreciate that Adobe is a suite, but I'm going to show you how I take advantage of that. So with Creative Cloud, I can do audio render and replace, and with one click I can do adaptive noise reduction, and that's going to dramatically clean up my audio and make it better. And even with me streaming for you guys and screen recording, this whole process is going to take just a few quick seconds to adjust the audio for an 8-minute video. Having a really good custom-built machine does that for you. So I just click Save, and what will happen is when I go back over to Premiere, it's going to start generating a peak file and syncing that audio. So now my audio is much better, it's much cleaner, and that's in place. So that's perfect for me, and I didn't have to think about it too much. And so now a good portion of what I need to do here is pretty much done because the audio is cleaner. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit on my timeline, and I'm going to expand all tracks. This is just going to let me see my timeline a little bit more clearly, and I do that by pushing in on this panel. And there are a few things you can do here, and I prefer to kind of checkbox most of these things so that I just have an understanding of what I'm looking at. You can also customize anything you think you would need. I'm fine with what I have, so we don't have to do that. But again, I do like just having a good close-up look of my panels. And so that's usually the way that I prefer to do it, and I like to get zoomed in here pretty close just so that I can see what I'm editing. So in this case, I know I have all of this of where I'm getting set up.
Give yourself a break.
And so I know I have a line that I start the video off with where I say give yourself a break. So I'm going to cut everything before that, and then I'm going to perform a ripple delete. The way I can do it is I can right click and then I can click on ripple delete up here, but I prefer to use the shortcut, which is Shift and Backspace. So I'll just select this clip, hang on, and then I'll where's my shortcut? Oh, sorry, Shift and Delete in this case. It's Shift and Backspace on my other computer. But Shift and Delete, and that gets rid of that.
Give yourself a break.
So right after that, I have a lot of dead air. So I'm going to cut right here, and then I'm going to cut right before it, and then I'm going to Shift Delete again. And what happens is I end up with a jump cut.
Give yourself a break. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of RobertoBlake.com, helping you create something awesome today.
So that's my jump cut. I'm going to click shortcut M, this is going to create a marker because I know that this is where I finish my intro where I say, hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of robertoblake.com helping you create something awesome today. I know that's exactly where that ends. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to shrink this down so I can just get a better look at it. I can also just scooch this panel up and give myself more room. I'm going to select video track layer 3 because I want to drop in an animated lower third that I made in Adobe After Effects. In this case, it's not this purple one, it's a red one, but you can get a sense of what it is here. And this was done in After Effects. I got this as a template that I modified with everything that I wanted, and so that's pretty cool. So I actually have this already in Premiere Pro. I just need to locate it. Let's see. And if I don't already have it dropped into any of these bins here, then I'll just import it, which is a simple enough thing. I can just go to, hang on. I can actually just go to my drive, go to my branding assets, and I know that I have it in lower thirds. And so the one I want is my YouTuber lower third. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import that here. I'm going to drag it in. And this is an AVI file that has an alpha layer on it. So that means that it has transparency. So this is something you can make in Adobe After Effects. And so when you have these animated lower thirds in Adobe After Effects, this is actually pretty cool because you can drop these in. So I'm going to do that in a second, but I'm also going to real quick just share the live stream with some people over in Twitter, and I definitely encourage you guys to do the same because this is actually pretty cool. So I'm going to tell people that they can actually watch me do video editing live Twitch in at Adobe Premiere. And so people can see what's going on there. So yeah, we're going to drop this lower third in. And I want it to be roughly about here. I want it to start here. And so when I play this through...
Give yourself a break. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of robertoblake.com helping you create something awesome today. So today we're going to talk about how to not...
Alright, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to go to my effects panel and I'm going to get a cross dissolve and I'm going to drop that in. And the way that's going to work is you see where I set this marker up?
Awesome today.
It's pretty much going to fade by the time we hit that marker. So it's working with this audio cue. So that's something that's actually happening right now. And alright, so we've got that going on, and that actually looks pretty cool. So when we bring that in...
Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of Roberto Blake.
Now, looking at the margin guides, I actually just want to double click this and I want to drag this over and I kind of want to line it up here, and that's what I've been doing in most of my videos. So for consistency, that actually works out pretty well. So that actually sets up the basic beginnings of this video that we have going on. And next I want to go ahead and I want to get that color grading out of the way just so I don't have to think about it later. And so I'm going to go down to the Lumetri color panel, and I could either do it right here on this adjustment layer and I could do my color grading, or since I actually have a couple of presets here, I could drop this in, which that one's overcooked, so I don't want that one. Yeah, that one actually looks good. This is YouTube 30, so the color on that actually looks pretty good as far as an adjustment layer. And if I went to the effect controls, you can actually see what makes this adjustment layer work. Hang on one second. So I'll click on this adjustment layer, and you can actually see my settings here, and that this is primarily the three-way color corrector. I could make a new preset using Lumetri Color, and I can do that, and I've done it before. And there are a lot of actually custom presets that I've already made here, including one called Bookshelf Red Shirt. And so if I go ahead and let's say I take off this adjustment layer by just going ahead and deleting that, and it goes back to normal, and I drop this one on, you can see that's it. But I think that I had more lighting for some reason in that particular one, so I don't like that one as much, so I'm going to hit undo. I think this YT30 is actually the better overall color grade. I think this looks pretty good, especially when we compare it to our source. So I'm digging that. I do like how that looks. I think it makes the shirt pop a little bit more. I think that it looks a bit more polished, looks a little bit cleaner. So that's how I want to actually utilize it. So now that color grading is in place throughout the entire footage. Every edit, every clip will be consistent as far as that color. Now in terms of stacking your video layers, you're going to want your primary video layer to be video track 1. If you have B-roll that you want to be consistent with the same color, you can put the adjustment layer above that on like a video track 3. If I wanted to drop in more footage, all I'm going to really do is, and let's just make the assumption that I want to drop some B-roll here, which we might. That's fine. I can go ahead and I can add another video track, and so that'll give me a video track 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually move my YouTube lower third to video track 4, so that if I want, I can drop in B-roll above this adjustment layer, because I think the B-roll won't need to match whatever this is, because it'll likely be a screen capture or something else. So that's exactly how I would approach that, and how I edit a video. So again, if I wasn't explaining and walking you guys through this video would actually probably be done by now, because you can see that there's not a lot that I have to do to edit these YouTube videos, which is why I'm able to produce and edit so many YouTube videos at a time. I usually shoot back-to-back YouTube videos consistently. I'll do 5 to 10 videos in a shoot for like an hour to 90 minutes. You can see that I imported like all these videos, and mostly it's in front of me with the same setup, and I changed out the shirt a couple of times, but I recorded and I dropped in like 10 videos here that need to be edited. And so you can see that that's how I bulk shoot my footage, and you can see that with this kind of setup, it also lends itself well to me jumping in and bulk editing. So that makes a big difference. Cody, how are you? Good to see you here in the live chat. So yeah, do you guys have any questions about my basic video editing workflow and setup so far? I'd love to hear from you.
Something awesome today. So today we're going to talk about how to not burn out on YouTube and how not to quit. This is something that's an interesting.
All right, so far so good. Awesome. All right, so one of the things that I don't always love is I'll have an somewhere in the footage. So right here I have a and I can pretty much just cut that here and cut the dead space here, and it should be okay, but we're going to see.
How not to quit. This is something that's an interesting topic.
All right, that worked out pretty well for the most part. I want to try and see if I can make that cut any cleaner, or let's see if it's possible to work with a, nope, we're not going to do that. I think that cut is probably as clean as we can make it, but I can zoom in and I can try and see, looking at the waveform, if I can do any better.
Interesting. Something that's an interesting. This.
Okay, so that's actually probably about as close as we're going to get it. So that's fine. So Shift Delete. Content strategy on YouTube is your challenge, Will. Awesome. Like, I can talk a little bit about that while we edit.
This is something that to quit. This is something that's an interesting topic. A lot of you have actually been asking.
All right, so I got that out of there, and it's actually a pretty clean jump cut.
YouTube and how not to quit. This is something that's an interesting topic. A lot of you have actually been asking me things about this in the comments of other videos, and I wanted to talk about it today with you.
All right, so that's right where I need it to be, because you can see the dead silence there, and you know that matters. But Will, you say that content strategy for YouTube is a big challenge for you. I'd love for you to give me a little bit more details about that, so I can talk about that while I'm editing, and about how you can specifically work on your content strategy. I've actually been meaning to do a video around content strategy specifically for a while, because I love doing the stuff that helps people get started in the entry-level stuff, but I feel like that's not my biggest value. I feel like the higher level conversations around YouTube and content strategy are the key, and I think that would really matter. So that's something that I want to talk about a little bit more in depth later. But while we're editing, I wanted to show you guys a little bit more of this workflow, and you can see that it's pretty easy for me.
Burnout can be
to make these simple jump cuts and to edit a video
with you. Burnout can be something that a lot of YouTubers suffer from. A lot of them end up.
And you'll notice that I have on my monitor headphones. This isn't just so that you guys aren't getting playback through the speakers. Me doing this means that I can actually hear very clearly while I'm editing, and I can get a better sense of what's happening, and I can be precise. And you should get a really decent pair of headphones for that. These are okay. These are not super expensive. These are Audio-Technica MHX 10s or 20s. I think I won these in a thing from FameBit, but I'm considering getting the MHX 50s. I think Marquez Brownlee actually recommended those. So MKBHD, big tech YouTuber, recommended those. So I'm going to probably try those out soon.
End up cutting back on their content. Some of them take months off. We've seen that with All
right, so I see another in here that I'm listening to, and I'm zooming in so I can try and find where I can cut that off. And I think right here would work. Now I might leave it in if I don't feel like I can make a clean enough cut here, or that it doesn't work. So I'm looking at the waveform to look for like a clean transition in.
Months off. We've seen that with some big YouTubers.
That was clean. It worked. All right. So yeah, MH50Xs are what you have. LC Finch. Awesome, Finch. Nice. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting those. They're not that expensive. What happened is I actually just bought another new lens for one of my cameras. I also bought a new vlogging camera. So that actually is something I'm looking at as another investment in my whole setup, is the audio monitoring, because I think I might be good for now on camera lenses and camera gear. I think audio is the next place that I step my game up with. In fact, actually, I'm going to go grab some of my cameras to show you guys real quick. All right, so this is a little different, but I'm going to show you guys a couple of my cameras here while we're on the live stream and while I'm doing the video editing, so that you guys can get a sense of how all of this ties together. Because while it's great to show you guys my Premiere editing workflow, it's also good to give you guys some context into what goes on with my footage and how I approach setting everything up. So the primary camera that I usually have set up over there behind me is a Nikon D3200. This is a spare body that I have. It's just the D3100 that does most of the same things, except it doesn't have a microphone input jack, which is essential to the way that I work to get good audio, because I don't like syncing things in post. It's just not what I like doing. But this camera is just a stand-in for that. I have two of those Nikon D3200s set up, but I don't usually use two camera angles. The camera that I use whenever I'm out of my home office and also to shoot a lot of my B-roll lately is the Panasonic Lumix G7, which is amazing, and it's great for selfie-based recording because it has a flip-out screen. And I really dig this camera. The quality is superb, and it can shoot 4K video. So when I'm shooting 4K video, this is usually what I'm using. I'm also usually using that with this thing, the Joby GorillaPod, very Casey Neistat style. So when I need to film my speaking engagements, which usually go on for 30 minutes to an hour and change, a DSLR like the Panasonic or the Nikon doesn't usually work as well for that. So I will shoot using this Canon Vixia HF R700 camcorder, and that actually gets the job done and can shoot long term. It doesn't really have a time limit. It's just as long as the SD card lasts. In fact, I used it to record entire presentations at Adobe Max with no problem. I actually recorded stuff from like Quentin Tarantino's retirement. Next, I have this little action cam, which I rarely use, but what I'm going to be using it for is to have a close-up angle when I'm doing a drawing video using my drawing tablet. When I'm doing something like that, or when I'm live streaming, I can use this to get B-roll footage of myself working with my hands on the screen, and I can get that at a nice wide angle with this by just setting up on the desk. It's unobtrusive. I don't necessarily have to use a tripod, or I can use something small like this as a mini tripod, and that gives me something to be able to work with. So that actually gives me a fantastic option. That doesn't shoot 4K video. That is the GoPro Hero Session 4. So it doesn't shoot 4K video, but will shoot up to 2.7 K video, but I don't use it for that. I just shoot HD at 60 frames per second usually. So that is what that does. And then this is my vlogging camera. This has a pop-up screen, and this is unobtrusive, super easy to use. It's another Panasonic. It's the ZS45. I actually just did a review on this on my YouTube channel and showed off some samples. So you can see that as a pop-up vlogging camera, this is actually pretty good. It's super convenient, and I really dig it, and it actually helps tremendously, especially like in situations with this. And I find that it does a decent job. The color accuracy on it's pretty good, and I like what it does. So those are the 5 or so cameras other than my smartphone that I use when I'm actually producing the videos that I edit in Premiere Pro. And the beauty of Premiere Pro versus other applications is that it can actually take the native files from all these different camera systems, and it works perfectly. I don't have to do anything special. I don't have to convert anything. It just works. And that's one of the things I love about Premiere Pro. Whatever editing software you have may or may not do that, but that's what I like about it. And that's why it's part of my workflow, and it's one of my favorite tools. LC Finch X, why do you shoot B-roll at 60 frames per second? It seems overkill unless you're slowing it down in post. You're just binding frames unless you deliver at 60 frames per second. The thing is, sometimes I do actually do the videos at 60 frames per second. I shoot on the Panasonic usually at 60 frames per second. So for certain types of videos, especially videos where I'm out and about and I'm moving more, I like to do that. And a lot of times I actually do slow down the B-roll stuff in post so that I can have smoother, because a lot of times I don't bother to use my slider. I'm doing hand holding pans and things like that. So I do actually slow down that footage at 60 frames a second, and I like having the option. And that's just me. I personally just like having the option. And I also like the look of 60 frames per second overall better. So that's why I shoot with down the Panasonic, and I'm trying to transition eventually from the Nikon and shooting at 24 or 30 frames per second to shooting everything in 60 frames per second going forward. In fact, I actually might, my friend is selling his D3300, which shoots in 60 frames per second at 1080, and I might just go ahead and grab that from him because he's selling it like super cheap, selling it for like 250 bucks. So I might just grab that just to have another camera body, because that's an easy move to make, to get another camera body, another kit lens, and a battery as a backup to the system I already have. That's a no-brainer, so I'll shell out 200 bucks for that. So yeah, that's why I shoot that way. But again, when I go here into Premiere Pro, I can just take all my footage,
Some
everything
big
looks great.
YouTubers recently, actually, and there are some people who quit and just give.
And I love that everything works. That's the other thing I think people underestimate about Adobe. And I've shown you guys, we've actually went and we like cleaned up our audio in Audition using adaptive noise reduction. In one click, we improved our audio. I was able to drop in an animated lower third to just make our video look a little bit fancier at the beginning, like when we start the video. So again, that's
Give
cool.
yourself a break. Hey everybody,
So we get to
this is
open
Roberto
with
Blake
that.
of Roberto.
One of the other things I do at the opening of my videos is I do a fade from black. So I just go into the effects panel, I click, I search for dip, and I use from dip to black, and then I'll just shorten it a little bit here, so that what happens is...
Give yourself a break. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of RobertoBlake.com, helping you create something awesome today. So today we're going to talk about...
So you see that all looks very polished. Yep, that's just what I like to do there. So Will Patterson says, sure, so I don't know whether you've seen my latest videos, but I've been having trouble with coming up with ideas for video. I know that the audience wants to see content centered around design, but I feel like I've exhausted some topics in design. I'm creating videos that inspire other creatives, but trying to come up with topics that I find interesting. Question: what content would you personally like to see on my channel? So, Will, this is a tremendous question. You actually have a lot of skills as someone who can actually do traditional illustration, hand lettering, and you can do the basics of drawing for graphic designers in context. So I'd actually like to see some beginner tutorials more from you around not just design, but actually the principles of hand lettering and traditional illustration for designers specifically, especially people who feel challenged by this. I actually do not have great skills with hand lettering, and so I'd personally love those tutorials from you. I also think that you could also do monthly design Q&A videos where people submit stuff to you on Twitter, which could get your Twitter community a lot more involved, and you can go ahead and you can do a Q&A video once a month. I think your audience would love that. I know it's something my audience digs. And the other thing I would say, Will, is you could look at common design problems and you could address them. I don't think there's any shortage of that. I also think you could do project-based videos. I think you could look at project-based videos and you could put together videos around how to create specific types of projects or even specific types of logos for a niche and the thought process. I think that you could literally walk people beginning and end through a creative brief style project. It might require a lot more thought, a lot more editing, and a lot more production, but I think it'd be an interesting challenge for you because I think you've got YouTube down and you've got simple talking head videos down, you've got tutorials down. I really think that this would be something that you could take on as a challenge. And I think project-based videos, that there aren't a lot of those out there, and I think that that'd be really cool. I think you can learn a lot from the DIY community where this is concerned. So, look at those videos, look at stuff that like Karen Cavett is doing as far as how to present and produce something like that. And I think that that could actually help you a lot. I'd love to watch those videos from you, and I think you'll grow your audience and your fan base, and I think your existing viewers would love it. So that's my advice to you on that, Will. Great question. Guys, remember to please share this in Twitter, share this in social media. Let's get some people in on this stream. My video editing workflow live in Adobe Premiere Pro. Check out twitch.tv/Adobe. And share. So yeah, so just did that. Let's get some more people here into the stream. Do you stream on Twitch at Will Patterson or just YouTube? That's interesting. Will is a YouTuber, and Will doesn't live stream as much. Will actually does recorded videos, much like myself, and he does some tremendous stuff, a lot of stuff around logo design, graphic design in general, and hand lettering, and his stuff is amazing. So I definitely encourage you to go check out Will Patterson. All right, so we've got our adjustment layer. I showed you guys how to do that a little earlier. And again, you can use Lumetri Color, or you can use a preset, or you can make a custom preset. And we've edited a lot of my, my gaps, my ums, my ums. And again, this would not take me. This would take me, like, this is what, a 8-minute video. This would take me less than 20 minutes to edit. If I wasn't walking you guys through this step by step, it would take me 20 minutes to edit this. And that's it.
Enjoy making YouTube videos anymore. And there are a lot of reasons for that.
Because the way I shoot, I do everything in one take. Typically, if it's an explainer style video, I don't have to drop in a ton of B-roll. Sometimes I do it just to break up boring things, and sometimes I'll drop in text overlays or images. It just depends on what we have going on. But for some of these things, I don't need to do that, believe it or not.
For one thing, I think too many YouTubers, and maybe you're watching this, they get discouraged easily by their views and subscriber counts and things like that. They take it entirely too seriously instead of just remembering.
All right, so I can do something fun here. I just made a mention in this video of people taking YouTube too seriously in this particular video. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop in a little text effect. So I'm going to go to title, and I'm going to call this Why So Serious, because I'm going to actually drop in some text that says Why So Serious. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to start with a text style that has a drop shadow already, and then I'll just change the font. So I'll just select brush script. I'm going to change that font, and I can just pick pretty much anything at this point. Typically, for sanity's sake, I typically go with like a Helvetica or something, or some other sans serif, and I'll just see how this Franklin looks for me. Come on. And why did it pick Webdings? Oh, I know why I did that. It's because I was typing. And what I like about the title panel is it does give me kind of a preview of what this will look like in here. And I think that actually looks pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to drop that in there, and I'll just kind of figure out the timing by listening to the audio here.
Counts and things like that. They take it entirely too serious.
So this is where I use the word serious, and so this would be a great place for this to pop up. But I don't like that this just
too seriously instead of just remembering what
like
they got to use.
Because that's plain, and that's that's not necessarily a good thing. We want there to be a little bit something more to that. So what I'm going to show you guys is a really cool thing that you can do with motion graphics text in Premiere Pro. You don't actually need After Effects to do a simple basic motion graphics animation. You can do these things in Premiere Pro. You can do these things in Photoshop. This is what's really cool about, using the Adobe Suite and all these creative tools is there's a lot you can do and a lot of it's not complicated. I actually did a tutorial over on youtube.com/RobertoBlake2, like the number 2. Admin, if we could link that up, that'd be great. I did a simple tutorial around how to make a motion graphics text intro because it's really not that complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to Effect Controls. I'm going to go to where this says Motion, and you'll notice that we have Position and we have Scale. So this is where I ultimately want this Why So Serious to end up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click Position, and that's going to set a marker here. Now I'm going to go to the very beginning, and I can do one of two things. I can either adjust this to fly in from the side, or I can adjust this to either come in from the top or bottom. And I think actually having this come in from the side would actually, be the right feel. So
instead of just remembering,
that's where I have it.
Too seriously.
So
they take it entirely too seriously.
So I actually need to move it so that when I say
entirely too seriously,
that's where I need it to come in because of where we are with the verbal cue. So that's what I did.
They take it entirely too seriously instead.
So we've got that. Let me see if there is. I'll set easing on this. Yeah, I'll set this to ease in so that
entirely too seriously. Entirely too seriously instead.
You'll notice that
they take it entirely too seriously.
It's very smooth there.
They take it entirely too seriously instead.
And let's just adjust this here. So
take it entirely too seriously instead.
All right, so I like that. And again, you notice that I put it within these safety margins for our video. So boom. Oh, LC Finch made an interesting joke. He says he thinks the font should be Comic Sans. That would be fun and funny in a way. I just can't bring myself to do it. I just can't bring myself to make that Comic Sans even as a goof. I just can't. But no. All right, so we've got that. But just having that fly in is, I don't think that is good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go grab one of my audio files. Actually, I wonder if I have this over in this panel. I might have a wave file that could be a whoosh. Nope, I don't have my sound effects. Okay. So I'm going to go into my audio files, and I use audio blocks. They're great. And I'm going to go into my sound effects, because I've got a whoosh that I can use so that when this flies in, I've got an air whoosh. So let's see. I'm just going to drag this over. Oh, hang on. Nope.
Too seriously instead. Entirely too seriously. Entirely too seriously instead.
All right, so I actually managed to get the timing of that really good intuitively. But if I were looking at it, I could go ahead and I could this is about approximately where the motion begins. So from an accuracy and timing standpoint,
seriously,
this is probably correct, because that's where the sound ends. But visually, you'll notice that it's in alignment. If I go frame by frame here, it's kind of like, in alignment with where motion is happening. So where motion is happening, sound is taking place. Where motion isn't happening, sound isn't necessarily taking place. So I can line that up just a little bit.
Seriously.
So yeah, pretty much by the time
seriously,
this stops, yeah, that whoosh has taken place. So I can just fudge that just a little bit.
Seriously,
yeah, because that just feels more satisfying. So you have to be a little intuitive about this. You have to eyeball it. All right, so that's actually pretty cool. So now you can see that this is, again, a very simple thing, but I've already made this like much different than the majority of talking head videos in YouTube. Talking head videos in YouTube are done very clinically. They're done very much, there's usually not any color grading. There's not usually an emphasis on sound effects or on visual motion graphics. So I've already, between the intro lower third, the color grading, and what, just the little bit of attention to detail of a visual call out to something that I said here in the first minute, I've already made this much more engaging than most YouTube videos that are done in this style would be. For an example of YouTube videos done in this style, I recommend looking at the Vlog Brothers. They have a very, jump cut based explainer video style that isn't very graphics heavy at all, and the editing is very minimalistic, and I take a lot of inspiration from that, even though I was editing this way before I ever knew who they were, just because it was my instinct. It was my instinct, and I'm glad to see that my instincts were right and were used by like some of the biggest old school YouTubers, because I think I was editing video, I was editing video, I think 6 years before YouTube ever even existed. Most people don't realize I'm 32, I've been doing this for a while. So, it's just cool to know that, oh, this thing that I figured out is the thing that people at the top actually are doing. So that's pretty cool. It's validation.
seriously, instead of just remembering what they got
So I don't think it needs to stick around too long
into YouTube for in the first place.
And this is where I actually kind of end that point. And the thing is, it is satisfying to potentially have that just, go away. That's not, unsatisfying. But I kind of, since I went through trouble to make it fly in, I kind of want to make it fly out. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make another keyframe for position, and that's where we are here. And then at the end frame, I'm going to do another keyframe, but this time I'm going to, hang on, I'm going to create a keyframe just before the end, and I'm going to have this actually fly up. And then in selecting both of these, and I might have to do this just so I can see them more clearly. Selecting both of these, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to have this ease out.
First place, or,
and I'm going to adjust them in the timeline here.
First place,
Then I'm going to make this jump cut. We're going to see how this feels.
In the first place, or even more.
That might be just a little too hard of a cut.
Or,
so I think that actually looks pretty okay.
What they got into YouTube for in the first place, or even worse, some of them got into YouTube specifically for views and subscribers and fame and quick money, and it's not happening, so they...
Alright, so that actually feels pretty comfortable. And let's see. We're just going to do a save, even though I have autosave set up. So let's go to where the next cut would happen.
I'm going to be a little biased here. I think maybe some of those people should quit. A lot of you are going to be completely disgusted with that because the YouTube creator community ethos of, oh, don't tell people to quit or don't tell people to give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber. How dare you? Like, who are you to tell somebody they can't make?
All right, so there's something here that's like going on that's like a little tongue-in-cheek and a little ranty. And so I'm thinking that it might be fun here to actually take something from Photoshop. Let's see. In my YouTube thumbnail stuff, I have a smart object that I actually think I want to get. Let's see. Yep. And it's this YouTube kind of smiley face thing that I have going on, but I know somewhere in this that I have the other version of it where I think it's a frowny face. I just have to find the layers. Ah, here we go. So there's a layer somewhere here that are the eyes. Ah, okay, yep. So that's the one that I want. And I'm going to save this as a smart object. I'm just going to throw this into video footage. And I'm going to make this YouTube error face. I'm going to save it as a PSD, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to save this as a PSD. And go back to Premiere Pro. Go to Files, Video Footage, YouTube error face, and I'm literally going to drag a PSD onto the Premiere Pro timeline. And let's see. That's not the placement I want, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Whoops. Yeah, but I'm literally going to drag this on a PSD in here.
Of being a YouTube creator community ethos of, oh, don't tell people to quit.
There we go. All right, so that's what I want. And I'm going to double click on this and I'm going to drag it over here. And I'm also going to scale this up a little bit. And for my purposes, I think this is fine. And I'm just going to kind of double check and see what I'm doing.
People to quit, or don't tell people to give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber. How dare you? Like, who are you to tell somebody they can't make it because you made it, and blah, 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 into infinity. Look, I'm a pragmatist. I've never pretended blah, 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 into infinity. Look, I'm a pragmatist.
All right, so that actually works out exactly the way I want from a timing perspective in terms of having that in place. Now, I do know that I scaled this up, but if I want to kind of have a sense of whether it's going to be quality or not to have it scaled up, I can just toggle this, and I'm now in full resolution, and I can kind of see how this would play out.
Or don't tell people to give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber. How dare you? Like, who are you to tell somebody they can't make it because you made it, and blah, 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 into infinity. Look.
So I can just toggle that back, and I know, okay, that's gonna work. That's gonna work just fine. So now it's a matter of what motion effect do I want to throw in on that to make that feel just a little bit more satisfying in terms of how it comes in and what happens with it. And I think I want this to come in from the bottom. I think that actually would feel really good, and that would feel really comfortable. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do here is we're going to go here into motion again. We're going to make this the position that we want. We're going to go back here to, oops, actually we don't want to select that because that's our adjustment layer, so we don't want that. We want the YouTube error face selected. So you got to be careful about what you have selected in the timeline because that's going to play a role in things. All right, All right, so we got YouTube interface. I'm going to click here, so I add a keyframe to the positioning, and again, I kind of want to be able to see certain things, so I'm just extending this to where I can kind of see it, get a better sense of it. Let's move that a little further, and then I'll put a keyframe here for the beginning of where I want this to come from, and I kind of think I want this to come up from the bottom out of nowhere, out of Nowheresville. All right, so we'll have that, and I'll set this to ease in.
People to quit, or don't tell people to.
So what I might have to adjust here is timing. So let's see. All right, so from a timing standpoint, I'm going to move that to here.
Don't tell people to quit, or don't tell people to give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber. How dare you? Like, who are you to tell somebody they can't make it because you made it, and blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, into infinity. Look.
All right, so about here is what I want. Some interesting stuff going on in the chat there. Guys, feel free to ask questions, by the way, but like, you know, this is, again, like how you kind of go one step beyond the normal. A lot of people, you know, ask the question how to be successful in YouTube, especially with how saturated things are. And I gotta tell you that a lot of it comes down to going the extra mile. It comes very much down to that. It comes down to doing things that other people just won't take the time to do, and attention to detail. And like I said, usually this would not take me that long, even with the detail that I'm paying here. This would still take me a maximum of maybe 20 minutes, 25 if we're pushing it, and then 5 more minutes to render, and then 5 minutes of optimization after the upload, and then I'm done. That's it. But that's, again, because I have the experience of a comfortable editing workflow. I've literally edited over 1,000 videos, literally over 1,000 videos. So that actually makes a huge difference in how I approach editing, how I think of it. It is second nature to me. Physically, I have, you know, the muscle memory for a lot of this, and so that matters. So let's see, I can make the preview window all big again, because that's going to feel really good and very comfortable.
Blah, 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 into infinity. Look, I'm a pragmatist. I've never pretended that I'm not a pragmatist or a business person. I've been the person that champions and encourages creativity more than anything. But here's the thing. I also am a person who suffered from severe depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, and I would never encourage someone to keep doing something that they hate. Insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And I don't want people to drive themselves insane over YouTube or have an unhealthy fixation with it or anything that goes along with it. I think that that's really bad. We've seen YouTubers burn out. We've seen YouTubers you know, ruin and destroy their lives or their relationships. We've seen YouTubers whose relationships were built in this community come to an end because they obsessed over YouTube, and that's problematic. I think you need to have a healthy approach and a healthy perspective here, and sometimes that means stepping away. Sometimes it means stopping and taking stock of what's really important in your life.
All right, so that was like a long segment. And then we have a jump cut here.
Now, as for how not to get burnt out and how not to quit, part of the answer is to not focus so much on the things that you want in terms of acknowledgement and accolades in YouTube, and to, again, do what you love and what you enjoy, and to take a step back and take a break from it and to fill your life up with other things. You should travel. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should do the things that give you a positive outlook on life.
All right, so that actually could be an area that I could actually insert some B-roll, because here I'm talking a little bit about taking a break. I'm talking about doing something you know, fun or enjoyable or positive. So I could actually probably stand to go grab some other footage that I have and drop that in. And so I'm thinking that, let's see, what do I got? What do I got? What do I got? I've got some footage here from, I've got some footage here, I think, of, you know, being at the beach that I could take a look at. So maybe that works. Maybe, because that actually like looks interesting. Some of this beach footage actually looks pretty good. I have to decide whether or not that's what I'm gonna use in this particular case. Because actually that could work, especially for this particular narrative.
Hey guys, it's Roberto. I'm here in Sandusky, Ohio at beautiful Cedar Park.
So yeah, I actually think that that footage could be good, so I'm going to drop in and import that. I'm also going to probably grab a piece of footage from me in New York.
Quality content. That didn't always mean that it was going to come. Hey guys.
I wonder if I have some footage of me actually walking on the beach. Hang on. I think I'll actually use the footage of me walking around in New York as B-roll, because I think that that actually is going to work better in the storyline part of what I have going on here, just because it's more active. Because in this other one, I'm actually sitting and I'm doing kind of a vlog in front of the camera instead of doing a walk and talk, and I think that the walk and talk is actually going to fit better with the story that I have going on here. So I think actually there's some footage where I'm walking and talking and I'm jamming on my headphones that actually would play out just a little bit better. Yep. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to import that real quick. And again, it's just simple drag and drop. And so I'm going to drag that in over about here, because I think that's where I'm talking about that.
And to take a step back and take a break from it and to fill your life up with other things. You should travel.
All right, so this is where I use the words you should, you know, travel. So
you should travel. You should spend time with your travel. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should do the things that give you a positive.
all right, so I also mentioned here spending time with friends and family, so I'm going to grab some more footage. I'll grab some footage that I recently shot with the vlogging camera, and this is some footage where I'm actually out there. And somebody asked about recording in public. I'll talk about that here real quick. Do you ever feel self-conscious recording in public, Roberto, or are you used to it now? Like, I used to not record a lot in public, and the self-conscious thing for me is more a matter of just being aware of my surroundings and safety more than anything. And the thing is, I'm very careful about scouting my locations for where I think that is okay and appropriate. But I'm not self-conscious about it anymore. In fact, I find that the thing is, it actually makes other people in the vicinity and other people watching self-conscious, because what's happening with them is they are wondering if something is important or going on or who I might be, or they sometimes are thinking about whether or not they want to be on camera. And so that actually is more of a thing that happens than me having to be self-conscious about being, recording out in public. And so mostly I just don't worry about it outside of the context of safety. I don't worry about it really too much at all, and I just do it. And it's, for me, it's actually a lot of fun. And what happens is, you know, people are very super polite about it. People are really cool about it. And, it usually is fine. So right now I'm just scrubbing through looking for some footage of me hanging out with friends here.
8.
And so I'm gonna, clip that there and see what happens in the voiceover.
You should spend with your friends. You should travel. You should spend time with your friends and family. You
And I'm just going to move this a little further in the timeline to kind of sync up with what I'm saying a little better.
things. You should travel. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should do the things that give you a positive outlook on life. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should do the things that give you a positive outlook on life. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should do the things that give you a positive outlook on life.
All right, so that is actually a pretty satisfying place to have that and to do, a transition cut. So, that really matters. So that's where, I made this transition in the narrative where what I end up saying here out loud is, and I'll just kind of read it as I say it.
Things. You should travel. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should do the things that give you a positive outlook on life. If you're constantly stressing.
And then, because I'm talking about not quitting YouTube, I'm talking about taking a break, I'm talking about, stepping back and not obsessing over this. So, that is something that I wanted to cut away to kind of show and not tell. Show and not tell is really important for editing sometimes. A lot of people, especially since it's simple to just get in front of the camera and vlog, it's simple to just whip out your smartphone and vlog. A lot of people don't take the next practical step, which is finding a way to show instead of tell. And that really makes a difference in keeping people engaged and people watching a video longer and to the end. So I think all of those things matter. Cody Bear says, I always try to be very aware of my surroundings when I'm out and about. Yep. That's also why I bought this cheaper vlogging camera, because again, usually, and again, this is like $200. And yeah, there are more expensive vlogging cameras with better features, like the Sony RX100 Mark V, which my good friend Sarah Dici, she's using that for her vlogs now. She was using the Mark III before, but that broke, and so she got the Mark V. But this is a $200 camera that does the basic things that does. The audio is not as good as that. The color quality, the slow-mo, all the things that has. I mean, it's the difference between $1,000 and $200. But for very basic things, and for you to not have to worry about traveling with something conspicuous or that looks expensive, this is actually really good for $200. So if something were to happen to this, I'm not going to cry over it unless I got really good footage. So that's why I have it. At some point, I'm probably going to get the Sony RX 100 Mark V myself, because it's going to be amazing, and I love quality. I love 4K video, and that's what I'm all about. And it still looks inconspicuous and it's small, but in the meantime, getting used to vlogging with this and getting used to shooting some things with this in the real world, you know, that matters and that helps. And, you know, no one's going to think that this is anything special. So that just makes life easy and simple. It also means I'm not killing the battery on my, you know, Apple iPhone, because a lot of people say, well, you have two phones. Why don't you pull out your iPhone, or why don't you pull out your Samsung? And I'm like, nope, because then I'm pulling out my expensive phone. I could drop it, I could get wet, I could do any number of things, and then I'm also using battery power. That means I can't call. I mean, so I'd really just rather use a camera as a camera and a phone as a phone. The exception is when I'm doing Dear Entrepreneurs, because I want to shoot that on a smartphone because it's the thing everyone has. I want to demonstrate that, and you know, I believe in that. And I love editing in Premiere Clip on the go, because at the end of the day, if I shoot on this, I still have to come into Premiere Pro and edit. If I shoot on this, I can edit in Premiere Clip. So there is a value to doing it that way, and that's why I choose to do that. So you know, just all of those things. It's just being very self-aware. And again, it's relative, but hey, Bingo CS is saying $200 is not cheap for a person like you. I know that someone said it's relative, but I'm going to challenge you on that. You could get this camera and be just as good of a YouTube vlogger or YouTuber as anybody else for $200. You could make this in a weekend mowing lawns. You could make this yard sailing, you know, and garage sailing. $200, I know it might sound like a lot, especially if you're a student, but I was like, when I was a kid, I was doing all this stuff, and I was getting my equipment and my software by cutting grass, mowing lawns, and doing odd jobs, and I learned how to build websites, and I was doing that and getting a couple $100 and everything like that. So even, you know, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. Like, you know, I worked for everything in life. You know, I wouldn't say I grew up poor, but, you know, it wasn't anything fantastic, wasn't anything special. Common American, you know, lower middle income family, worked my way up. And I could have afforded this back when the internet was not what it was today. I could have afforded this 16 years ago, 15 years ago when I was a kid, because you can go out and you can mow lawns. So that matters. Yes, you can add me on Twitch. I haven't really started doing a lot with it yet, but this month I'm going to be doing a lot with it. I probably will just end up basically editing in Premiere Pro, and if people have questions, I'll ask questions. That's probably what I'm going to do with my Twitch channel, is just stream me doing my work. So, you know, if that's something you're interested in, that's going to be on my Twitch stream coming up. Oh, you're 13? If you're 13, don't worry about YouTube. You may not like that answer, but if you're 13, don't worry about YouTube or about making videos. I'm not even kidding. If you're 13, you've got a lot of other things that you should be really working on right now.
Constantly stressing about, did you get a YouTube video out? Did somebody...
So, you know, that matters. There's another there that I want to cut out, so I'm going to do that. And just quick ripple delete.
Out. Did somebody say something negative about you? Did you lose a ton of subscribers? If you focus on those things, if you let it consume you, you're going to burn out. You're not going to enjoy this anymore. If YouTube starts becoming a chore instead of something that you enjoy or love, it is time for a break before it breaks you. It is time to step away from the camera, step away from the editing bay, and do the things that bring you the most happiness and the most joy in your life that have nothing to do with YouTube. It is time to not watch other YouTubers. It is time to not look at who's doing what or do the comparison game. It's time to take a break from social media and people showing you their highlight reel of their life that has nothing to do with the reality of their struggles behind.
All right, so I like this here. This is, again, slightly, it's fun ranty. This is like me telling people to not compare themselves to other YouTubers, to not take this seriously, to doing some other things. And so I'm going to drop in like a hashtag real talk thing there, and that's going to be clever. Cody asks, Roberto, I was wondering of ordering a Canon T5i kit on Cyber Monday for photography and possibly home vlogs. Do you have any experience using it? I feel like a lot of YouTubers use it. It seems nice for a starter camera. This is a fantastic starter camera. Most YouTubers do in fact use this. I believe this was or is the camera that Karen Cabot uses, a popular graphic design and DIY YouTuber. My friend Charlie Marie, another DIY and design YouTuber, she uses it. And so, yeah, that is a great starter kit for you, Cody. I would definitely recommend it. It is what a lot of people get started on because it just works. Right out of the box, it just works. Push a button and go. So, yep. Let's see. Yep, good to know. All right, so like, let's see. I want to drop in a, and I don't want to have to, do that, text title thing all over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click duplicate, and then I'm going to make this my new hashtag real talk, so I don't have to, do everything completely from scratch. But what I am going to do is I'm going to change this font, and let's see. Want something, I think, with an italic. All right, so yep, hashtag real talk, but I want this to be bigger, so I'm going to select it. I'm going to Control A to select all, and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to label it over here correctly. And then I'm going to drop that in over here, close out our title panel, and I'm going to go to where I feel like
from social media.
I think this is about where I kind of get a little ranty.
What, or do the comparison game. It's time to take a break from social media.
All right, and so once again, we're going to go to our effect controls panel. We're going to click over here for motion and positioning. And again, I like where this is right here, so that's where we're going to set our initial keyframe. So boom, we've dropped our keyframe there. Go back to the beginning, drop a keyframe that we're going to adjust. And I think this is going to come in from the top. So yep, that's going to come in from the top. And then we're going to select this. We're going to go to temporal interpolation and go to ease in. So that's going to just ease on in.
Game. It's time to take.
Yep. So we did that. Where's our whoosh? Then there. So do we have it over here? Usually I can just search file by type, but if it's not over here, I already know that it's in the timeline, so I'll just grab it if I need to. Ah, it's a whip whoosh. That's why I couldn't find it by searching. Okay. Watch me whip. So alright, so hashtag real talk. Select that. Select audio wave file 2.
It's time. Game.
All right, so that actually feels good.
Game. It's time.
And then also, I think I need to do that where I have the YouTube error face dropping in.
Oh, don't. Oh, don't tell people.
But actually, I want a different sound effect for that because I want to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to drop in another whoosh. So let me go to my audio files, go to my audio blocks folder, go to my sound effects, and let's see. Got a different whip whoosh here that I can drop in.
Oh, don't tell. oh, don't.
All right, yep, that kind of feels good.
Oh, don't. Oh, don't.
Yep, that actually feels really good. And let's make sure that we're easing that in.
Oh, don't.
Yep, that feels really good. And we'll ease this out as well. And again, it's the little things. It's these little things like with, you know, attention to detail. Oh, I get that 90s reference, by the way. That's pretty cool. So yeah,
People
let's go here to where it's outroing. And so where it outros here, I can go ahead and I can drop in another sound effect. I'll drop in a heavier whoosh. Let's see. Whip whoosh heavy.
Look.
There we go. All right, so that actually works. So by just mixing it up a little bit, that makes it not feel lazy for one thing, and you know, it just makes it feel a little bit more satisfying to have those things in there, and they don't feel as repetitive.
Game. It's time to take a break from social media and people showing you their highlight reel of their life that has nothing to do with the reality of their struggles behind the scenes or what's going on in their mind. No, 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 no. Step back. No, 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 no.
And here, again, I don't think here we need the sound effect, but I do think, I don't actually even think we need this to animate out.
No, 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 no. Step back. Take a break. Put a kibosh on all those things. Take a break.
But what I'm going to do here...
No, step back. Take a break.
What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this cut, but I'm also going to lock these other layers so that I don't affect them in any way. I'm going to double click onto this layer, and I'm actually going to adjust the size. I'm going to bring this in because I'm saying something where I'm being a little sarcastic and serious. So I'm going to zoom in, and that's going to feel actually really good in this breakup.
Take a break, put a kibosh on all those things.
And so, you know, that actually feels, you know, pretty good in terms of a transition.
Take a break, put a kibosh on all those things.
So that actually works out pretty well. And then I have this long pause where I have to cut. That feels pretty good. Yes, I do have a Twitch channel. I haven't been doing a lot with it lately yet. I've really just kind of started up, but I'm going to be streaming in real time some of my workday as far as editing, and so that's something I'm going to be doing over on my Twitch channel. So if you want to follow that, means when I'm up there and I'm live, you'll be able to see it.
And guess what? This isn't limited to YouTube. This is like real life advice that I'm giving here for anything. Like, there's a reason that sometimes I will like have to do trips and I will desperately try not to turn them into working vacations. That's hard for me.
All right, so I just mentioned something here about.
Try not to turn them into work.
I mentioned working vacations, which is like where I turn my trips into doing something like this. But I'm going to see if I can actually find better footage of that, because I think I actually do have better footage of that. Because all I need for that is a very short clip. So I think that I actually yeah, I think that clip just visually might be a little bit better. Even though it's a super short clip, it's literally me just turning on and checking the camera settings, but I think the lighting is just so much better in it that that's what I want to use for this. And again, it's just a short line, so for impact.
Try not to turn them into working vacations. That's hard for me. I'm a workaholic. This is advice that I have to take. Desperately try not to turn them into working vacations. Desperately try not to turn them into working vacations. That's hard for me. I'm a workaholic. This is advice that I have to take for myself.
All right, so yeah. So what I decided was I just said I desperately try not to turn my trips into working vacations.
And I will desperately try not to turn them into working vacations. That's hard for me.
And then I show.
I'm a workaholic. This is advice that I have to take for myself. One of the cool things that I started doing again, believe it or not, is I'd never share it with you guys on social media for a reason, is I've gone back to my sketchbook, and I've never been happier since I've gone back to my sketchbook, because I'm drawing, for me, is one of my first loves. I'm back to what makes me the happiest person in the world, doing it and not being judged on social media for it, not worrying about likes on Instagram. I'm doing it just for me. I do not need anyone clapping up or applauding for me because I did something cool in my sketchbook. I have no interest in ever sharing any of it with any of you guys because it's something I'm keeping for me. There's an over temptation to overshare. We're called the overshare generation, and it's a little bit true. It's unfortunate.
All right, so I'm going to make another quick jump
It's
cut there.
unfortunate, but it creates this enormous pressure on people that they have to share anything or it didn't happen. They have to share everything or it didn't matter. Pics or it didn't matter. Likes if it didn't matter. Views or it didn't matter. Subs or it didn't matter. You can't predicate your entire life on acknowledgement from other people. Instead, it has to be about what you feel you're personally accomplishing, what your growth is, and whether or not you feel happy in the moment. And so,
And a quick cut there.
Feel happy in the moment. And so my advice to not burn out on YouTube is to remember what got you into YouTube in the first place, to do other things that you love, to have a grounded routine in life, and to not obsess over anything on this platform. It doesn't matter. If YouTube shuts down tomorrow, you still have to find a way to live with yourself and to have a life afterward. I think to have a life afterward. I think it's important to put that into context.
All right. And we got a big old long pause here. And this is why I expand the track so you can see the audio file, is because, boom, simple to make my cuts and my edits. Like I said, if I wasn't showing you guys the step by step by step intricate breakdown of all these decisions, I could edit this video and do all of this detail work still in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes tops, and I'm making a video that has much more to it than most standard, oh, I'll like whip out the camera, I'll shoot a vlog today, I'll set it up on the thing, I'll go outside, I'll do that. Like, you know, the editing of that, while not, you know, super simple, is a lot more straightforward than everything that I'm doing here with fly-in motion titles and, you know, taking stuff from Photoshop and throwing it in there, doing little sound effects, and I'm still gonna add an audio track to this before we close out today. Like, so, you know, I've spent the last hour and 40 minutes walking you through what is for me a 20-minute process, because that's how much thought and detail, and that's how many like little micro tutorials you know, you could get out of this. and that matters. Your professor would call all his holidays location scouting. No, I agree. So yeah, just a heads up, you guys. Niku Senpai will be doing concept art in 20 minutes. I think that's gonna be pretty cool. I think I'll stick around and check that out. But yeah, so we're down to 20 minutes, and with this last 20 minutes, I'm just gonna kind of finish editing this, then throw in my background audio, and that'll be a wrap, so to speak. But yeah, this actually is pretty much almost done. And again, it took me 2 hours to show you guys what I typically would do in 20 minutes to make a YouTube video.
So the best way not to quit YouTube is to not take it too seriously, take a break, remember why you got into it in the first place, to do other things that you love, fill your life up with things that are not YouTube, and just remember.
And again, I would usually actually just edit out all the things that I want to cut and do that first, and then do all this other stuff after the fact. But I wanted to show you guys the process, because again, if I had to do that, you might get bored. So
sure, it's probably something you need to reevaluate and re-question your reasons behind doing it.
So that's why I got to show you all the cool stuff with motion graphics, lower thirds, sound effects, all that cool stuff, working scene for scene through this, instead of my usual way is I would just go through, cut everything, edit, assemble everything, and then start dropping all that stuff in after the fact. But I wanted to get to it so I could show it off to you guys.
There's so many of you that want to turn this into a job, and you have to remember the far majority of people hate their jobs. Like, they just do. That's a fact. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have questions, leave those in the comment section. I hope that this really gave you some perspective. I want you guys to have a healthy balance of how you operate as a creator. I think that's something that's so important. I don't think it's talked about enough. You have to have proper mental health. If you don't have that, then you don't really have much of anything else to look forward to, because
so now I'm just listening to and monitoring and making sure there's no mistakes or anything that I want to take out.
Sane and stay healthy, and if that means stepping away from YouTube or quitting it altogether, you should really think about that. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. Remember, YouTube tip videos are usually on Friday. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today.
All right, so that's actually, I think yep, that's actually the end, and that's then where I'm cutting off my microphone and all that stuff, so that's about where I'm going to trim it down. So it's going to be roughly a 7-minute video, maybe, when I'm done here. So
like it, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel together. You should really think about that. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. Remember, YouTube tip videos are usually on Friday. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today.
All right, and so I can end with a dip to black transition there, and we're good. And so now I'm going to unlock my video adjustment layer. I'm going to cut it there. And so you can see that's about a 6-minute and 48-second YouTube video. That's a pretty good length overall. I'm pretty satisfied with that. And so in context, everything here is pretty much done. The last thing I have to do is drop in
yourself a break.
Some audio and
hey everybody,
do my audio track mixing. Knowing that I put my sound effects on, and actually let me just go back to my other setup here. Knowing that I set my sound effects on audio track 2. I don't need the clip mixer, I need the track mixer. And I don't want metadata, I don't care about that. What I can do is, I'm going to zoom out so you get a better sense of my timeline. So this is what my timeline looks like in Premiere. This doesn't look nearly as complicated as some people's timelines, but again, I showed you guys that my editing process is really straightforward, and I make things a lot less complicated than than most people, and this is why I don't spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours editing my YouTube videos, even if it was a longer video. The most I could ever see spending on a video that's not like 30 or 40 minutes by itself is an hour, because of the approaches that I'm using and because I know my setup so well and I have, all my stuff in place, even with hunting footage. So I'm going to mix down audio track 2 so it's not as loud, even with those sound effects not being
and
anything
maybe you're
major.
watching this, they get discouraged easily by
I
their
won't
views
listen
and
for it.
subscriber counts and things like that. They take it entirely too seriously instead of just remembering.
All right, so that's subtle. So I don't want like it to shock people when the audio stuff flies in. So that's why I mixed it down a little bit. So I'm over here on the audio track mixer and I brought this down so it's lower than my voice. Yep. So, that's what I've got going on. But I might make that just a little bit higher because what I'm going to do is on audio track 3, I'm going to drop in some music. So I have some royalty-free music from, I have some royalty-free music from Audio Blocks that I'm going to go grab. And since I know this is about 6 minutes and 45 seconds, I'm going to look for some longer audio tracks, and I'm gonna like just kind of like listen to them a little bit in iTunes and then like drop them in. Let's see. Nope. Alright, that one's actually almost 4 minutes. So as a starter, that's actually pretty satisfying. And I like this one. This one has a lot of guitar riff stuff and I like the beat. Like this song, and I don't know if you guys can hear this song at all, but it's almost Street Fighter-esque. So I really dig that. And what I'm probably going to do for it is I'm probably actually going to zoom in just a little bit, go back to the beginning, and I'm probably going to actually adjust the audio manually myself. So I'm going to hit play, and then I have this set to write, and I'm going to mix the audio for this video in real time.
Give yourself a break. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of RobertoBlake.com.
Alright, so let me actually set this a little lower to start with then.
Give yourself a break. Hey everybody.
Set this to write.
Give yourself a break. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of RobertoBlake.com, helping you create something awesome today. So today we're going to talk about how to not burn out on YouTube and how not to quit. This is something that's an interesting topic. A lot of you have actually been asking me things about this in the comments of other videos, and I want to talk about it today with you. Burnout can be something that a lot of YouTubers suffer from. A lot of them end up cutting back on their content. Some of them take months off. We've seen that with some big YouTubers recently, actually. And there are some people who quit and just give up altogether. And it's not because they don't have people viewing or watching or subscribing or they're not making money. A lot of people actually just quit because they don't enjoy making YouTube videos anymore. And there are a lot of reasons for that. For one thing, I think too many YouTubers, and maybe you're watching this, they get discouraged easily by their views and subscriber counts and things like that. They take it entirely too seriously instead of just remembering what they got into YouTube for in the first place. Or, even worse, some of them got into YouTube specifically for views and subscribers and fame and quick money, and it's not happening, so they, again, quit. And, I'm going to be a little biased here. I think maybe some of those people should quit. A lot of you are going to be completely disgusted with that because of the YouTube creator community ethos of, oh, don't tell people to quit or don't tell people to give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber. How dare you? Like, who are you to tell somebody they can't make it because you made it, and blah, 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 into infinity. Look, I'm a pragmatist. I've never pretended.
So I mixed that, and I think I'm really satisfied with where that came out in terms of the overall audio. And by the way, if you guys want to see the end result of this video, it will be up later this afternoon after we do the stream, probably within 30 minutes to an hour. This video will be live on my YouTube channel. It probably will not be the only video that I release today. I probably will actually have another video coming out about personal branding. I'll have some other content coming out. No, that's not the video that will come out later today. I think the video that will come out later this afternoon or evening will be my ranting about the new MacBook Pro. I think that's what's going to come out because I meant to release that this Tuesday, and there was some footage I had that I shot at Adobe Max of the MacBook Pro with the touch bar that didn't come out, so I had to figure out another way to approach the video, and so that video will come out later today because I need to reshoot some things. But this video will be up this afternoon within probably another hour, so feel free to check that out. We've got 10 minutes here, and then Niku Senpai is going to be coming up showing you guys concept artwork. So I'm just going to kind of wrap up a little bit here with my editing workflow and then show you guys how I export this, because now I need to...
There's a reason that sometimes I will
I need to finish
their
the
highlight reel of their life that has nothing to do with the reality of their struggles behind the scenes or what's going on in the
audio mixing part of this.
editing bay, and do the things that
let's see.
Look online. If you're constantly stressing about, did you get a YouTube video out? Did somebody say something negative about you? Did you...
And again, there might be some more real-time mixing that you might have to do in some situations with some of this as you listen to it, where things might feel louder than they should.
Completely disgusted with that because the YouTube creator community ethos of, oh, don't tell people to quit or don't tell people to give up on their dreams of being a YouTuber. How dare you?
Have to listen to this
who are
in real
you to
time,
tell
and
somebody
you
they
have
can't
to,
make it because you
get a
made
sense
it,
of it,
and
you
blah,
might
blah,
have to,
blah,
like,
blah, blah,
play
into
it all the
infinity.
way
Look,
through if you're gonna do
I'm a
this kind of thing.
pragmatist. I've never pretended that I'm not a pragmatist or a business person. I've been the person that champions and encourages creativity more than anything. But here's the thing. I also am a person who suffered from severe depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, and I would never encourage someone to keep doing something that they hate. Insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And I don't want people to drive themselves insane over YouTube or have an unhealthy fixation with it or anything that goes along with it. I think that that's really bad. We've seen YouTubers burn out. We've seen YouTubers ruin and destroy their lives or their relationships. We've seen YouTubers whose relationships were built in this community come to an end because they obsessed over YouTube, and that's problematic.
So yeah,
I think you need to have a healthy approach and a healthy perspective here.
Sometimes
that means stepping away. Sometimes it means stopping and taking stock of what's really important in your life. Now, as for how not to get burnt out and how not to quit, part of the answer is to not focus so much on the things that you want in terms of acknowledgement and accolades in YouTube, and to, again, do what you love and what you enjoy, and to take a step back and take a break from it and to fill your life up with other things. You should travel, you should spend time with your friends and family, you should do the things that give you a positive outlook on life. If you're constantly stressing about, did you get a YouTube video out? Did somebody say something negative about you? Did you lose a ton of subscribers? If you focus on those things, if you let it consume you, you're going to burn out. You're not going to enjoy this anymore. If YouTube starts becoming a chore instead of something that you enjoy or love, it is time for a break before it breaks you. It is time to step away from the camera, step away from the editing bay, and do the things that bring you the most happiness and the most joy in your life that have nothing to do with YouTube. It's time to not watch other YouTubers. It's time to not look at who's doing what or do the comparison game. It's time to take a break from social media and people showing you their highlight reel of their life that has nothing to do with the reality of their struggles behind the scenes or what's going on in their mind. No.
Again, I would have had to show you guys 2 hours of editing a single video if I wasn't walking through all the thought process and the step-by-steps.
This is like real life advice that I'm giving here for anything.
Like maybe
there's a reason that sometimes I will.
So again, all right, and so I can cut here because there's not really enough audio going on there, and then I can drop in another audio track. So I just have to find my other audio track real quick that I want that will fill up the rest of the timeline. So I need about another 3 minutes of audio. So I've got some options here, and I actually set my folder up to where it's like I can view my audio tracks by duration. So that actually really helps a lot when I'm doing this. And again, I get these from Audio Blocks because it's royalty free. You can also, if you don't have the money for something like Audio Blocks, you can go into the YouTube panel, and they actually have some stuff there. let's see, what else we got, what else we got. Oh, this is something that actually fits perfectly with that.
To YouTube. This is like real life advice that I'm giving here for anything. Like, there's a reason that sometimes I will like have to do trips and I will desperately
let's see.
That I'm giving here for anything. Like, there's a reason that sometimes I will like have.
All right, so again, do a little bit of live mixing there real quick. So we go to write mode. We are gonna
Here for anything. Like, there's a reason that sometimes I will like have to do trips and I will desperately try not to turn them into working vacations. That's hard for me. I'm a workaholic. This is advice that I have to take for myself. One of the cool things that I started doing again, believe it or not, is I'd never share it with you guys on social media for a reason, is I've gone back to my sketchbook, and I've never been happier since I've gone back to my sketchbook, because I'm drawing, for me, is one of my first loves. I'm back to what makes me the happiest person in the world.
And I think we're good there.
Share everything.
Maybe not so much.
Vacations. That's hard for me.
Yep, I actually think I have to like actually set that on right the remainder of the way through. But real quick, before we get too far into this, if I was going to export this, I use Control N. That's going to be Command M for those of you on a Mac. And if I wanted to export this, I could do a couple of things. I personally have some export settings that I am in favor of using, but I could just go to presets here. I could go to I have a couple of my own, but I could just go to YouTube 1080 HD, and YouTube knows what it wants. And that's it. That's literally, oops, I hit Vimeo instead of YouTube. Yep, I can hit YouTube 1080, and YouTube knows what it wants. And so I can, just go ahead and I can do that. And then I would just hit Q, export, and this would go to Adobe Media Encoder, and it's good to go. It's perfect. I could hit maximum render quality, I could hit render at maximum bit depth, and that could improve the quality slightly, but that's really about all that would happen there, and that's the only real improvement I would get out of it. So I literally would just do that, and I can save this to wherever I want by just clicking over here. I have a folder for the November videos, and I would just cut this off on the end, and I would save that, and then I would just click upload to YouTube, put in all of my information, and that's pretty much it. So in a nutshell, you've literally seen beginning to end the entire process behind editing a YouTube video for me. Again, it's not a 2-hour process. Explaining it and explaining the thought behind all of it is what takes 2 hours. It takes me 20 minutes, usually. That's it. That's all it usually takes for me, is about roughly 20 minutes. So that's going to be it for us, you guys, for video editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. I definitely want to thank Adobe and the Twitch creative team for having me. It's always a pleasure sharing with you guys, creating awesome things and sharing with the world. You need to be out there, always be creating things you love, that you think provide value and that you think need to be shared. If you guys have questions, definitely hit me up on Twitter at Roberto Blake. You can pretty much find me at Roberto Blake everywhere on social media. Don't forget youtube.com/Roberto Blake 2. That's my YouTube channel. Ton of Premiere tutorials, ton of other things, Photoshop, InDesign, YouTube creator tutorials, pretty much everything you need. Get ready for Niku Senpai. Niku Senpai is going to be showing us concept art. I definitely hope you guys stick around for that. If you don't have stuff that you got to get done today, this is going to be a lot of fun. So you should definitely stick around, or you should come back and watch the replay. All right, that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. I'm going to finish doing the audio mixing on this, click export, and get this out to YouTube land for all of you to enjoy later today, so that you know exactly how I feel about not quitting YouTube and how you avoid burnout. Maybe that helps some of you guys. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.